Hello, Eckhart at the Academy of Visual Arts. Today we are looking at slicing through a mesh object and then subsequently using the mesh edges of the slice to create an interlocking object which we can use for things like laser cutting. So um, sometimes it is quite good to start from a 3D scan and then use it like in a 2D environment, but you can also then export a 2D environment. And so these things go backwards and forwards. Um, so this is a little exercise for you to do. And here we start. I have many years ago found these rocks in the Thames. These are sort of limestone rocks, which I scanned back then with a very simple scanner. I could use anything, but let's use this for, could be anything, but this is fine because it doesn't really have many. Um, the mesh is not too fine, so we can actually should be able to kind of get through this fairly quickly. Okay, now, so the first thing I'm going to do is just going to slice through here because I just want to use the top. So in order to make a cut through a mesh, we have done this exercise in the past, but I just going to include it so you can actually fly through. And you go on the plane, you go cutting plane. Rhino asks you to select an object to cut planes. We select the stone in this case, and I want to slice it through here. And then we're done. At the moment, I only want to have one. In the perspective mode, yeah. Does that look okay? Hold on, perhaps. I want to rotate this a little bit. Perhaps more like this. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And now we go to mesh, edit tools, mesh split. We select the mesh and we select the cutting object, which in this case is the cutting plane. We press done. And now we should have this mesh sliced up. Okay. Okay, the next thing we want to do is, I'm just thinking, perhaps I should have made a little drawing, but I'm perhaps planning to make a lampshade of this here using laser cut strips. Okay, so we have to look at the size here. So that's perhaps the first thing you should do once you have established. Again, we kind of place this on the floor. And obviously this is way too small. If you want to scale things up manually, you could just kind of pull on these edges. I want this in the Z direction, so I could scale it. Let's make it about 20 by 20. Is it 20? Is it a little lamp shape? Yeah, okay, that should be all right. So I tend to do it very often like this. So if we make this 7, let's do it 20. Yep, I apply that. So that's the sort of shape of my lampshade. The first thing I want to do is I want to slice through it horizontally to kind of create some supporting ribs. And we do this again I'm working on Rhino for Mac at the moment, and there you should always use double button mouse. With Rhino for Apple, you use the right click of the mouse, and here the previous commands are being listed. I obviously want to have a cutting plane. Again, here is the object I want to slice up. That doesn't work like that. About here. I press Shift. I just want to make sure that this, hold on, I want to have this, okay, and I want this at 30 centimeters, at 30 millimeters. Apply that. Okay, so this is now 30 millimeters from the ground plane. And I want to make multiple cuts. So I actually array this and press in array. In the X direction, I want to have 1, 1, Y direction, 1, Z direction. Hold on, I have to do this again. So X, 1, I have a bit of a lag here with my computer. I think it doesn't like all the multiple tasks. Why don't I get array, select objects here. Done. Number in Z directions. Let's do 8. The spacing 30. What's happening with my computer? What is happening with my computer? So it's not doing what I wanted to do. There's something going on here. I think it doesn't like. There's some bug in here. Eight. 30. Here we go. Right. So if you array your X and Y, do is I want to segment this in the vertical layers, and I want to do this. I want to have perhaps a cut through here because this stone looks a little bit triangulated here. Yeah, let's make a cut through here, and through here. Now go to my top view. I right click on, and I should still have my cutting plane. It asks for what do I want to cut, but that doesn't work because I have locked this. So I unlock it, and I want to make the cut through here. The start of the cutting plane now. The start is here. Oh, I have auto planer. So I want to make a cut through here. And now I don't want to cut it all the way through here, but only through the middle. So I think it might be quite good to kind of put a reference point here. I'm gonna go to my perspectives here. So hold on, I wanna have this top slice. All right, so I'm gonna go here, the center. Okay. Move this up, or scale it up a little bit by holding the shift key. So I'm just going to put a little axis in here as a reference point, and I'm working on the default layer. So what I want to do is I want to move this to this center, and type in move. I want to move this point. Let's go to this look. I want to move it there. Okay. So make, oh, I just want to scale this up. Right. So you need to get the cutting layer into the right position. What I'm going to do now, do I have this on the right spot? No. Where is my black line here? Has that disappeared? Oh no, it is. Did I move that accidentally? Okay. So I'm gonna move this again. Right click move. I want to move it from here to the center. Didn't, oh dear, what's gonna happen here? Why the hell is it doing this? Do I have to do this now manually? I have no idea what Rhino is doing here. Oh, this. Well, why did it do that? Let's just destroy this. This is good enough. Okay. Now I copy and paste this. Apple C, Apple V, and I want to rotate this. So I type in rotate from here to here. And again, I rotate it again. So I activate this plane. I type in rotate. I rotate it from here to this point. Oh, have I not rotated this? Copied it. Go the other way. Okay. Right. So let's have a look at the perspective. Okay, so we've got our horizontal slices, we've got our vertical slices. So let's see what, and I'm going to slice through this now. Right. So we go to our mesh tool, we go mesh split, and I select my mesh, and I select the cutting planes. Right. So, and now we should have little cake slices. Yeah, here we go. I put these away. And now I think I'm going to do this. In hindsight, it actually might be better to have a copy of this and do the horizontal and vertical slices independently, because now I have a lot of different segments which I add together. Yeah, this is how you discover things while you're actually doing things. I will continue this, but as a hint, when you look at this through first, make two copies. So one where you do the horizontal slices and one where you do the vertical slices, and then you combine the two. Right. What I need to do now is I need to, and that is basically a bit of a shambles. Okay, I'm gonna hide these ones. So I have this, let's see, come on. Okay, now we go to select mesh loop. So we have done this again. We go to select meshes, select edge mesh loop, and we need to zoom in. And now obviously it just selects the one up until this cut. So if I press shift, yeah, that's what you have to do. You press shift and you can add. Now I have all three segments of this. Now I duplicate. Hold on. First I go done. Hold on. I need to do this again. God. Select mesh loop edge. So okay, here press shift and here and here. Done. Now I duplicate dupe edge, and now I copy and paste this, and now I have this one, and we leave it at the moment on this level, so we're not projecting it onto the top side. It might be actually good to leave it in that space, but to put it on a separate layer. Change it to the current layer, so on the blue one. You can still see it's blue, and if I hide this one, we have this blue layer. Yeah. So because you need to have it in the right position. If you move it, you will never get the position right again. I need to zoom in, and you need to kind of select this, and now without actually pressing shift, you can select the entire edge loop here. It's quite good to zoom in. Sometimes it selects also some mesh edges downwards, then you need to start again. So at the moment you can see I have selected the entire mesh loop. I press done, and now I duplicate this. It is duplicated now. You have to don't do anything, and now I click on my blue layer and I go and change the objects to the current layer. Right? So now you have this layer section as an edge loop. Next. So you continue this for every layer until you have all your rings, and then the next thing you should do is you should join these ones. So you can actually go in your front, because at the moment they're all little curves. Yeah, you want to join every section. You could group them, but the first thing is to join them. Okay, so I'm going to finish this now, and then I will come back to this video. Okay, I have now produced all the slices, and if we hide this, and when you sort of start doing this, you also realize, oh, there's always something that doesn't quite work out. So what you will find when you select some of these and you join them with the join option here, you might realize that there are gaps. You don't want to have any of these sort of gaps, so you manually need to close them. You just kind of select the last node and connect them. Sometimes they look, so basically you need to check every layer and there's a gap. So you just grab the last one and connect it. And there's also a gap here. Okay. So you really need to have basically, you need to go from layer to layer. This is really important. Look here. I think I have just closed this one. This is closed. It seems to be closed. This is closed. This is not closed. So here we have a little gap. I select the last node. And here, oh look, it's a very tiny little gap. Here we go. So if we go to our front or right view, we should be able now to join every layer. What you need to do now is I would actually activate another layer. Perhaps it's time to kind of name these layers. You double click onto it. So final segment, horizontal, right? That's the green one. Okay, now the next thing you need to do is you need to smooth your curves here, because you see some, they still represent the mesh faces. Some are short, some are long. So the first thing is you actually go smooth. Yeah. And you get a preview here. And I would go to 100 steps, and here you can actually set the parameter to how much you want to smooth it. This looks fine now. I do not activate, I only go smooth in the X and Y component. We don't want to have it in the Z component. So we apply this, and this is sort of much nicer now. Yeah. So I have done this, and they should be all connected. Yeah. So I smooth it again. I keep the same parameter. Perhaps we can make it actually a little bit more, even more smooth, like this, and so on and so forth. You can also press enter, and we have some old curves here. Delete this. Okay, now we have sort of nice outlines apart from this kink, which I don't like. I might have to manually smooth this out. What happens if I delete the odd node? If I do repeat smooth, can I do this now? Okay, it's all right. Perhaps I can move this node up a bit, but only in the, it's better to do this in the XY. Okay, so this looks nice. So, okay. We need to offset this curve in this direction and then extrude it so we have our laser cut surface. So we do this, we click onto this. I would go from the top view, I type in offset curve. and the distance is, it gives you a direction, yeah. Distance 15 millimeter at the moment. Yeah, 15 millimeter is probably okay, and I want to have it smooth. This is something we need to edit. Offsetting is always a little bit problematic when you have it too tight because it multiplies the curves. So you have to do quite a lot of manual editing here. I usually do this in Grasshopper, so that makes it much easier. So once you have, so this is your top layer here. You want to turn this into a surface, and you know this from the interlocking box. We go surface and planar curves. And then we extrude this by 3. We cut in 3 millimeter ply. And now, hold on, I selected, you need to select the surface to extrude, right? So not the curves, I just extruded the curves. You need to extrude the surface, yeah? So I will continue to do this now, and then we continue. This actually works quite well when you do it in these two layers. I use the blue layer and the green layer. So you need to make sure when you offset things, so I right click, offset in this direction. It has to be in the C plane and the corner smooth. So, and then I select the inner and the outer by pressing shift. I go surface on planar curves, and then you get the surface. Sometimes you get a warning signal saying it can't do it, and that's when a curve that the curve is intersecting itself. So it's basically when you have a little loop. So you need to edit that out. So and then it kind of works, yeah. So you need to have very clean curves inside and outside. Now I can extrude this, and the last one, I go offset, planar, offset, distance 15 in my case. That's good enough. I select both, surface from planar curves. I click on the surface. So make sure you select the surface and not the edges, yeah? And not the curve edges, because then if you, that's a common mistake, you actually extend only the curve outside and not the surface, so you have no thickness in here, yeah? So you click on the surface, you extrude it in the Z direction by 3, and now we have all our horizontal rings. Okay, and I can sort of hide this. Obviously this is now how this sits in there. And we already gradually get to the shape of a small lampshade. Okay. I have now worked rather a few hours on this, so this is not an easy task if you go along the mesh route. So I suggest this is for somebody who is really very much into it. And so basically what I show you is if we, so I intersected these ones, and you need to basically move a little bit in from the outside, otherwise you cut through your rims, yeah? So you need to move the mesh edge inwards and then you extrude it. So I show you a slightly easier way to do this, and do not do it in a triangle. Although this looks obviously nice, I do not recommend this. Just make four cuts through your object. That's easier, um, because you need to rotate this constantly to line it up and to make it work. So I'm just going to show you how this turned out. Yeah. So I have these locks on the top and on the bottom. So the interlock, but also I have little grooves on the top and on the bottom here. I need to cut this off, the little mistakes. So, and then I will also mark them with engraving. So layer 1, 2, 3 are all the way up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put little numbers on the laser cuts later on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then perhaps I'm going to put an A, B, and C, and then this is A, 1 on this corner, and just to make sure that I mean, it's kind of obvious because they have different shapes, but it's good to number them. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I have made a copy. I don't want to have this. I want to have this. So in the previous section, you know now how to make these horizontal extrusions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this into a new document, and that we don't get too confused, I'm just going to put it onto the green layer, and we put it on again the XY0. Yeah. And we should have the shaded here. So, okay, what I'm also going to do is, yeah, I just show you how to slice it. So something like this, I would probably then just kind of slice this one a little bit, turn this a little bit. Yeah, so if you have an object like this, slice it horizontally and vertically to make things a little bit easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we do the old game again. We do the cutting plane. I select these ones and I cut somewhere. We can always move it. Yeah. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. Okay, let's make a cut through here. Okay. And for this, we can use this Boolean split. And we select our, hold on, I'm going to increase this in size a little bit, make it easier to select. So again, I go Boolean split. I select these ones to split. I delete the input. This is the cutting plane. Okay, now I want to move this to another plane. Let's put this onto the pink plane, or violet. And we go to our green one and we hide this. Our cutting plane we can delete. And there are some old from the previous one, so you need to delete whatever residue you have. So we have this one. So the easiest way really to make an interlock is, if I go to the front and go to the shaded mode, I would recommend you go and make a control point curve. Yeah. And you should go planar. Yeah. So don't bend it. And let's start from here, and then perhaps you're just going to click onto, might be better to do this in the perspective mode. Make sure that you always click onto the corner. Yeah. And there. there. Make sure it's planar. And down there, and the other end. Press enter. Perhaps we want to work in the default layer now, and let's move this into the current layer. Okay, so obviously the control curve, the most important thing is if your control, look, so this is nice, is planar, very, very important, yeah? And now I want to move this a little bit to the right, to the left, that there's an overlap here, yeah? Because this is going to be the outside of your vertical rim, yeah? So you need to kind of cut, you get an overlap here. I think my earpods just went. I quickly need to check. These individual, so what you perhaps should do is you're just going to lock the green layer so we can actually move these slightly over. So when you actually click on a curve and you have these control points, you can move them individually, and what you may have to make sure that they slightly overlap here. Yeah? Okay, this is looking good. So we make this pretty straight easy. So what we're going to move is we extrude this curve. And we can do this just by clicking there, and we have a surface. So if you manage to kind of get this curve slightly nicer, and we perhaps can do this slightly nicer, but for this purpose, this is okay. So at the moment, this is just a surface. This is not an extrusion. Yeah. And it's always good to do these tutorials, although they can be very lengthy because I constantly learn. So if we go on to our front view, so shift control, and then I can select this one and I just extend it. Yeah. So I can extend any side. So I could do this on the bottom as well. Shift and control. So I could do that. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. Undo it. So, but this is how you can sort of shape this up. Yeah. If you go back to the perspective, and what you should do is, hold on. I joined these ones now. So we have these surfaces. And if we go to our view from the top, I can extrude this now. Yeah. If you want to do this on all sides, and then on the top, you can either add perhaps something, a specific diameter. Let's say if you have a diameter, for example, if you want to insert a lamp, and I would buy a lamp holder and measure it, and you could sort of cut the hole out through these extrusions. But in order now to continue, let's hide this. Or is this not hiding? Ah, it's this one. Right. So what we are going to do now, and I just use this example, otherwise it's just going to take too long, and I have done mine already. You do the Boolean difference. And I select the surface or polysurface to subtract from. And a good way to do this actually when you have things on various layers, and that's why I recommend you work with various layers. I select by layer, and you get this option. I select the green layer. Okay. And now I select the surface of polysurface Boolean difference. I select the green layer, select by layer, green. And I do not want to delete the input. Again, I go to my select by layer. I select the default layer. Okay, done. And if we go there and we hide this one, we should have the cutout areas. Yeah. So, and from this on, this is where we make the 2D. And if you have now, obviously the laser cutter can't cut at this angle. So there might be a little bit of handwork with a knife. So I would actually then, once you have all your cutouts and the design on the top, you then go on and make this 2D. And obviously I would then, it's always good to make a copy. I would then, imagine this is now the full round. I make a copy of this. And on this one, I would then distribute this, whatever, downwards. This one now, so this is bottom and top, whatever. We can actually, I think, align. And this now we can make 2D. It has taken rather long, but the tangent edges work. So ignore the right hand side. Imagine this is now the entire shape, but here we have the kink, and you can obviously go far more sophisticated with this, but I will now go back to my original drawing. So I will make this in 2D, and then so I will take this all apart. This is pretty much now done, and the spiel from the interlocking box. There will be some editing now because of the angles, so I need to make decisions there. But this will probably go now at too great a length to show this, but this is how I would go about this. Okay.